Hey everyone, welcome to Healthy Mind, Happy Life podcast. It's going to be episode 1 with me riding solo. This episode is brought to you by Elevate Your Life Coaching and Counseling, and I'm your host, Caitlin Englert. I'm a licensed social worker, coaching you to let go of who you think you should be to find purpose and confidence to live the life you always envisioned. So today I just thought that I would take some time to talk about the process of change. Since I am taking over the podcast alone and Jen had to take a step away for a while, I just thought it was a good time to discuss this topic. And it's not the first time it's come up in my life this week. So why not? I just made a really good cup of coffee. I read a really good daily meditation today, and it's a beautiful wintry day here in upstate New York. So yeah, let's talk about change. Let's get into it. You know, it's funny because my friend texted me, I don't know, I think it was New Year's Eve, and she gave me this analogy about change. And she was sharing, an experience from her life, but this analogy that she used was about buying a car, right? So we buy cars and thinking that we're going to keep it forever or for a certain time in our life. And we grow attachments to those cars because we buy the car for a reason, right? You buy a smaller car because you want to save on gas. You want to buy a bigger car because you had children. You want to get a car to tow something. So we have all different reasons of why we purchase vehicles, but it always has a purpose behind it to get us somewhere, to do something. And so a lot of the time we think we're just going to drive this car into the ground, we're going to keep it forever. And a lot of us grow, again, that attachment. And we build memories in these cars. We fall in love with these cars. There's stains all over the car from the kids. And, and those stains hold memories. It's this, again, attachment that we have. But then life changes. Life is always changing. And we, at some point, might not need that vehicle anymore. We may need a smaller one or a bigger one. We may need something that fits our life better. And so we have to adapt and get rid of that car that we loved. And it's just life changes, and so those things change with it. You know, because life is always changing and morphing into new and exciting things and sometimes less desirable things, but somehow we always learn to adapt and we figure our way through it. But the thing that I always come back to is, who do you want to become through those changes? Are you going to learn from those experiences in your life, from this change that you're going through? Or do you just basically stay afloat the entire time and hope you don't drown? And sometimes that's just the case, right? You just have to keep your head above water. But can you look at moments during that experience and say, what can I do different here? Or what is this experience trying to teach me? So, you know, I do this women's meeting, or I attend this women's meeting every Saturday at 9 a.m. Well, I don't attend every Saturday because, life. But I have a friend who started it. I think it was during the pandemic. She started this women's meeting, and it was just a few of us, and it's slowly been growing, which is fantastic. But it's a group of women in recovery from drugs and alcohol. But I love it because it's different than your typical AA or NA meeting. It's just basically a bunch of women talking about life, the hardships of life, the beauty of life, challenges of life, what's going on, just to check in. sharing our wisdom and our insight with to help other people. And so it's grown into this really beautiful group of connectedness. And this past Saturday, someone was talking about this. She's headed into the biggest change of her life. And I ended up, when it was my turn to share, I said, yes, it is one of the biggest changes in life, but life is always changing. It doesn't matter, just because you're getting married or having a baby or changing careers or whatever it might be. Change is always existing. Sometimes we just have control or say over what that change is in our life. And a lot of times we don't. And even more recently, I had an experience in my life, as you know, if you go back 2 episodes, you'll hear my birth story. Yes, I was expecting a change, a third child. That was the change. What I wasn't expecting was for her to come 7 weeks early, and every all the plans that I had just went out the door. So I prepared for that change. I braced myself for that change the best that I could. But then something else came along, and it was an unintentional and very abrupt change in my life. And what I have learned over the last few years of this, I've been in this stage of personal growth and learning about myself and who I want to be and how I want to spend my life. I've learned to start asking myself, and what is this trying to show me? Instead of why is this happening to me? What is this trying to tell me? And I'm sure you guys are sick of me saying that because I think I've said it on every episode. But you know what I do? I say it to so many clients, and I always reflect that back to myself because it really helps me shift my mindset from being a victim into giving myself grace to go through something, permission to go through an experience, and just not beat myself up. When I stay in that space of why is this happening to me, that victim mentality is it keeps me a victim. And I'm not a victim to change. I get to choose how I want to move through that change. And sometimes it is just keeping your head above water and you realize what it was trying to tell you later on. We can't always do that right in the moment, but continuing to ask yourself that question of what is this trying to tell me can help keep your head above water, right? If you keep saying, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? This can't be happening to me. Essentially, you're going to drown in that because the change is going to happen anyway, right? Whether you adapt to it or not, it's going to happen. And going back to what I said in the beginning, asking yourself, who do you want to be when you come out of that, right? What do you want to learn from this experience? And it's not about always getting your journal out and trying to come up with a concrete answer while you're moving through it. I always tell people, give yourself permission to go through it. And what that means is giving yourself grace to feel whatever comes up, right? If you feel angry about something, be angry about the change. I know I was. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've just stood in the shower and cried, or I was laying in bed and I cried thinking about so many different things, but thinking about my experience that I had been through this past November with giving birth to her. And it was really uncomfortable, but I let myself just cry it out, just feel angry about it, feel upset about it, feel grief over it, feel gratitude over it. So what I just gave myself that permission to feel whatever came up. And I I really tried to, I did ask myself that question, what is this trying to tell me? But I really just tried to stay in the feeling or where I was at in the day to day, that I didn't need to figure out the why quite yet. But I kept that question open in case the why did come to me, right? In case that answer did come to me. And it hasn't yet. It's only been 2 months and it hasn't, and that's okay. And sometimes, even when it's a change that you are prepared for, there's still things that happen that you will not be prepared for, right? So if you make a change in your career, let's say you go to a different job or you decide you want to start your own business, that's an intentional change. But in that comes problems, right? Things happen that are unexpected. And being able to slow down and say, okay, put the brakes on, pause. What can I do that'll help me feel good or confident about how I'm navigating this? And I've had to do that recently too. Being on maternity leave, owning my own business is not been an easy thing. I've always worked for a company when I was out on maternity leave. So this was a different experience for me. And I can get caught up in the anxiety of it, of I'm not doing enough. And it's a big change, and there's things that have been very difficult within that internally for me. But also, the good thing is, it's helped me rethink how I want to structure my schedule. So, right now, I just pretty much meet with people, Monday through Friday, whatever is really convenient to them and if it fits into my schedule. But I've never really had set hours per se. I just schedule people and try to be accommodating. But my life has changed. My life has shifted. There's things I still haven't figured out. I don't have childcare set up for my daughter. And there's some other things that are coming up this year for me and the kids that I have to be prepared for. And so, just in thinking about that, asking myself, how do I want to restructure my business that still feels right to me but fits into my life? And I got to say, it feels really good. I want to structure it so I have set office days, 3 days a week. Those are the days I work, instead of having such a sporadic schedule. And I've been really blessed to be able to do that in the last year and a half, to just work when I want to work and take on as many people as I want, or not as many people as if it doesn't fit into my schedule that week. But right now, restructuring this feels good to me. So that is something good that has come out of a really unfortunate situation. It's caused me to slow down and reassess and rethink things. And when I find myself getting squirrely over these changes, or squirrely over not feeling like I'm doing good enough, pumping the brakes and saying, okay, what is it that I can do here? Slow it down, keep it simple, right? Don't think big picture, think small picture. What is it that I can do today that would help me feel like I am navigating this change the best that I can? And sometimes it might not always feel good enough, but it feels better than doing nothing and just hoping that it's going to change on its own. It doesn't matter whether the change is intentional or an unintentional change, or an abrupt change, or life likes to throw rocks at you and try to get you down. It is still our responsibility to move through that change, to make decisions about how we want to handle things. So even if a change is outside of our control and something happens, we still have choice in that on how we want to handle it. We can do what we want to do. We can just stay angry and do nothing, or we can just feel sad and do nothing. And that's okay too. Or we can feel angry and we can advocate for something, or we can feel sad and give ourselves the grace to feel that way. Whatever it might be, but being able to slow down and just say, what is it that I can do today to help me feel good about navigating this, even if it's not perfect yet? So, I hate to break it to you, it will never be perfect. And I love when people say, I hate change, I hate change. We all hate change, yet it's always happening, right? Even if you plan to go to work and your kid gets sick and you have to go pick them up, right? And in today's world, it's 10 times worse because you have to get a COVID test, and you have to keep them home for 10 days. And so the change now in life is just even crazier and heavy, right? It feels heavier. But yet we say we hate change, yet we're always finding ways to adapt to it. So what if we just opened ourselves up to it and said, okay, change, this is happening and I'm not happy about it, or hey, this is going to be a good thing. Whatever your thoughts are on it, what if we just said, okay, this is happening, and I will find a way through this, because whether we like it or not, it's going to happen, and we can fight it and resist it, or we can go with it. And if we go with it, that doesn't mean we're just always accepting it. They're different. Going with it means we're learning from it. We're being aware of it. We are having the choice in it. If we resist it, or we say, why is this happening to us? Then we stay stuck in it. We're not going with it when it's happening anyway. And so, I am sad to see Jen go. And we made a really great team. We had really good vibes together. And I must say, this is kind of weird recording by myself. This is a change for me. It's an adjustment. I feel weird sitting here talking by myself. Although I do make a lot of videos on social media and stuff, so I don't know why this feels different, but it just does. It's different when you have that vibe with someone and that you're connected with that person in the same room and you're just having a conversation. Right now I'm just having a conversation with myself. And so that's different, right? It's not really good or bad. It's just different. But I will miss her, and we all have to make decisions in our life, and this just was one of her decisions, of something that she had to let go of. And with the new year, we all, I think, take a step back, and whether that's in a New Year's resolution, or you just think about, you reflect on your past year, or you think about what you want this next year to look like for you. We all have different ways of reflecting, and that's one of the things that she had reflected on in this podcast, was one of the things she had to let go of. And for me, it was something that I want to hold on to. That's important to me, that I feel I serve my purpose through. And I have to thank all of the listeners for that. We wouldn't have been able to do this, and I wouldn't be able to do this without everyone out there listening. And so, change is change. And I know it's not that simple, but I hope that some of the things that I shared today can be helpful for you, because I know a lot of us are walking into 2022 wondering how this year is going to be. And I would say, I don't do New Year's resolutions, but my word for the year is openness. I just want to be open to whatever happens, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever that might be. On a macro level, things are just changing in the day to day, and it gives me a headache. And then even in just in my personal life, things are like there's going to be some big changes this year, and I just want to be open to whatever that may be, right? If it's just maintaining and being consistent this year, I'm good with that. If there's more for me this year, then I'm going to go with that. I'm just going to be open to the change and not have expectations of what, or try to force what I want something to look like, or not have expectations of what I want it to look like, but just being open to what the universe is going to bring me and making choices about what if I want to make that change or not make that change in my life. And so, um, I'm looking at my coffee mug and it says, "This is a good day to have a good day." I actually got this one for Christmas. And it is a good day to have a good day. And not every day is a good day. There's ups and downs, and that's okay. If today's a bad day for you, I hope that this cheered you up, or that you can find someone that can put a smile on your face. But I think that's everything that I have to say today, and I really appreciate everyone out there who continues to follow along. If you like it, subscribe to it, share with all your friends. That is the biggest form of flattery that a girl could ask for. So please share away. I really appreciate it. And I will see everyone next week.